Hey everybody, welcome to the Enhance Your World show with Larkin and Chris. In today's show, we've titled it Walking Within Our True Nature. And in our true nature, it seems to be that, we're always adapting to circumstances. We're always learning to overcome our current circumstances, right? And looking to transmute them into higher realities, higher teachings, so we can live life with a greater flow or greater ease, right? And not have so much resistance against the way life sometimes changes beyond our expectations or control. So that's the title of the show, Walking Within Our True Nature. And as Larkin is at the barn working with her horses, I've got my cat running around here that's been jumping up and down on my lap today. So she may join us in today's show. So it really is, great to put on the show and share stories and talk about, you know, what what it is we're here to do, and the difference between believing versus our human beingness. How are we truly being in the moment to moment? How are we allowing life to flow with the greatest of ease into the greatest outcomes? There's universal teachings and there's different practices like gratitude and acceptance and compassion and grace, understanding, but how do we cultivate these within our daily lives is how it's going to help us. We can have all this knowledge, spend decades upon decades of studying other people's teachings and other people's walks and how they experience life and some of the great insights and wisdoms that they had to share. And if we're not integrating that into our daily lives, into our daily practices, it's only going to enhance our lives to a certain degree. If we're going to look for holistic wellness, if we're going to look to recover our harmony between our humanity and our planet, it's learning to accept life as it is, right, and go with the flow as much as we can. Hi, Chrissy, and hi, Natalie.
Hey
Thank
guys!
tuning in with us today live. We're getting to see a little bit of nature out there with Larkin today.
Can you
So
guys see
that's,
Jasper? Can you see my white horse, my gray?
oh yeah, a little bit.
That's Jasper. Here, let me reverse my camera for you. It's hard to see out here in the sun, but let me reverse the camera for you. And if I can reverse it, oh wait a second, I have my camera off.
You just turned it off.
Crap! Hold on. Didn't mean to do that. I just meant to turn it around, actually. Well, here, hopefully, can you see him now?
Yep, yep. There you are. There you are.
There's Jasper. That's my gray. And way out here, guys, there's a whole other herd. And my little red just shoot everybody out under the trees. You guys can see how beautiful this is. Here, you got a horsey here. So walking with nature. I mean, guys, we're a part of nature. And Jasper wants to say hi. I have no idea what you can see because it's so bright out here.
Yeah, you got a good shot of Jasper.
But this is an angel horse right here. This guy's he's got a totally. I don't even think he's got a horse soul. He's got something else. He's a special dude. He is a special dude. But we want to talk to you guys today about how we are a part of nature and how much nature is a tool and a solution for really so much of what you're dealing with. And that when we get out in nature, everything just is. It's we're in this make believe world right now of being unhappy because things aren't the way we want things to be. And, we don't have this and we don't have that. And when you get out in nature, all that disappears. And you really have a chance to resonate with your own frequency, with the part of you that is nature, because you are nature first. So anyway, what a better way to do it today than from the barn with the horses.
Right. Well, and at the same time, the technologies that we've developed are part of nature as well. Otherwise, they couldn't exist, right?
There's a hawk. Woo!
Woohoo!
You see that? Came right over us, guys. Can you guys see the hawk? Can you see the hawk, Chris?
No, nope, I'm missing it.
Wow, it flew right over Jasper and I.
Sweet.
I mean, literally, we're like out there. I wish you guys were all here with us right now, actually.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Sorry, go ahead. You were saying something.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before the show about New York City and how it's like a concrete prison in a lot of ways, because there's such a lack of nature, which can be challenging when you're used to this way of life, right? And it's about harmonizing the two. And I was trying to compare it to technology. Technology is part of our nature. It doesn't rule nature, but it's a part of our nature. I mean, and that's what's allowing us to have this conversation today, with you being out where you're at and me being, on my property, which I was just out walking. I don't get Wi-Fi out there, so I can't broadcast from out there, but that's where we're at, right? And learning to be able to, I guess we're in our pocket or something, learning to be able to adapt to the
Yes, you're in my pocket.
It was like it almost looked like a starry night, because I could see through, like, light through your fabric. But and really be able to be present in your authentic self, which isn't a self that you've created, because that's the mental construct. But we're way more than that. And I think that's where mind and heart coherence really come out to play in our daily lives. Is, when we're out of coherence, it's easy to fall from center, into another polarity of energy that would be displayed as emotion, probably, or a frequency of thought. But when we can truly be here now, presently, we can be aware of our thoughts, we can be aware of our feelings, we can be aware of our emotions, but not react out of them, but respond with wisdom and intelligence. And that allows for higher solutions than just being at the level of knowledge and saying, this is a problem that we have.
No, absolutely. I mean, essentially we're talking about intuition here too.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about different forms of intelligence, greater forms of intelligence. And, this is something that the more we connect with nature, the more we remember is an innate part of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a way that we tap into the higher intelligence with ourselves as well. See if I can get him to walk in the barn with me here. Come on, buddy. Whoops, that's not the side I opened. Hi, Lovey. Jasper, you want to come in, buddy? Hi. I'm going to get a different one. I got to walk all the way out in the trees, guys. Hi. Hi. Hi there. But yeah, so Jasper's like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to go with everyone else, so I'm going to go out and get somebody else. So this is really what, the crux of what this entire program is about today. Is, see, here he is. He wants to stay with me. He doesn't want to go in yet because nobody else is going in. Is understanding. I think this is a great time, Chris, for us to talk about. There are so many different forms of intelligence, and we're at a time in history where, we're coming out of the age of thought, and really we're moving into an age of consciousness. And so we have measured for so long intelligence as merely, cognition and intellect. And there are so many other forms of intelligence. And, one of the things that I really focus on with my coaching clients in just the level of awareness is the fact that there are so many forms of intelligence, and it is important for us to access these different forms of intelligence that we have. But also the fact that all life is sentient. The trees, the rocks, the insects, the mammals, the animals and plants. And you guys can hear the hawk in the background. But we have so much to learn from nature. And mostly, unfortunately, religion has been what has pulled us away from nature. And ultimately, religion is really just a set of beliefs. So, you could be a scientist, and that's your belief. You're looking for the source of life.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a Catholic. You could be, you could be Jewish. You could live a lifestyle of Buddhism. Buddhism really isn't a religion. It's a way of life that I think I like because it fits most naturally with nature. But we have all these different forms of belief systems. But if we take the belief systems away and we just look at consciousness, and we look at sentient beings, all sentient beings are conscious, including rocks and trees at various levels. The brain is a tool for the mind. I've talked about this before. And the mind is a tool for that consciousness. So yes, we may have that prefrontal cortex, that cognition that non-human animals do not have. But they share so many other forms of intelligence with us, some of which they use at a much greater level than we do because we're so caught up in our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And they have forms that we don't have. And so, just like we have to with different people from different backgrounds, we also have to look at nature and see these various forms of intelligence. When we do this, we really transform ourselves and our lives because there's so much to learn. And nature ups your observation skills like crazy. Even if you guys just take one hike a week, or one hike a month, or 15 minutes every few days and go out in nature, you're going to feel an internal shift. And this is one of those things that you can't just talk about, you have to actually experience, right? And here he comes, my pocket pet.
Well, and I think a lot of people discovered that, during COVID, plus that was where a lot of people were allowed to be, or felt safe to be anyway. So, I mean, I know the trails and the hikes that I used to take, there was many days that I would never see anybody. And then all of a sudden, the trails were full of people, trying to get out in the nature. And I think everybody discovered that. And it's definitely kind of grown a little bit more over the last few years. I mean, there's a lot more people doing, things in nature, even if they might be commercialized, such as canoe or kayak or something like that, which is just part of, our human experience of learning that, we need resources to live our life, but if we're not using what we have, then what good is it? what's the value if we're just hanging on to something and it's not being used anymore? And I think that's moving beyond the level of materialism into the age of frequency. I've been talking a little bit about this over the last few weeks on posts and things like that, but looking at everything from a standpoint of energy. And as Larkin said, consciousness, consciousness is information. So what everything is informed as is its vibration of consciousness. Um, and, to get to what Kelly was asking about Christ rising again, I don't think it's an archetype. I don't think it's a person. I think Christ consciousness or unity consciousness or oneness is something that is reawakening in many of us. And as individuals, it's like the 100 monkey principle, where it takes so many people to raise a consciousness state as a collective. So I think as more people are awakening to new information, which allows them to pursue life in different ways, which um, is going to lead to a lot of awakening to the things that they haven't addressed in their past, and they're just replacing it with a new form of belief that hasn't been proven yet, so they can have faith in something. To have hope is a natural state of ours. And when we get too locked down into materialism and what's going on in our current state without hope, we're going to start developing disconnection and frustrations and anger, and then it's going to turn into what we see everyday life is a group of us versus them versus us, these people versus these people. Matter of fact, we're already one, and it's the way we're mentally creating these constructs that keep us divided in the way that we look, the way that we speak, the way that we live life. Is this is the right way or the wrong way? They're all part of this human consciousness of awakening. And it's only within ourselves if we get curious enough to say, well, this is bothering me about so-and-so doing this. What am I doing that reflects this? Because if I didn't have a problem with so-and-so, then there wasn't a problem that lived within me. How can I find acceptance? How can I find grace? How can I find compassion if I'm projecting thoughts and feelings and behaviors on the other people or myself that is causing a lower vibration of how we could actually be present and move towards a common goal or a common vision, or finding the ways that we commonly agree and those that we differentiate, which actually brings us to a whole level of truth.
Oh, you're so right, Chris. I've got one horse here. I've got my mare leader who doesn't really want to come in because nobody's following her, but I've got her mama's inside, and she wants to ride, so I'm taking her in. You can see Jasper's following.
Yeah.
And there's a whole different level of, intelligence here and things that, come on, Joni, come on. Things that you learn through working with, taking what you're saying to the next level. Come on. She doesn't want to come in. Nope. Come on. What's the matter? What do you see? That's weird. There's a whole different level of intelligence that goes on here with with having to interact with animals. And I don't know what she sees. You guys see that? She sees something that's weird, but there's a whole different level that we have to get to in a way of thinking and being and interacting that is so different when we're talking about dealing with things other than humans, other than other humans, right? So when we're dealing with humans, it's a whole different ballgame. But when we're having to deal with other animals or nature or with ourselves in a different setting, it's a whole different thing. So this is, I think we need to really think about experience. What's the experiential aspect of what you and I are talking about, right? What is the experiential aspect of understanding what we're talking about? It's not just about oops, sorry, I'm getting caught in my leader up here. It's not just about sitting in our living rooms listening to this or listening to a podcast and learning about it. It's also about um, getting in a place and an experience where you're forcing yourself into a different perspective, into a different frame of mind, because you're putting yourself in a different circumstance. You're allowing yourself to have to shift. This world is about contrast. So allowing yourself to have to shift into another contrast, because the human ego always wants to push against something. And so, when you're interacting with people, you'll find a different type of motivation and pressure, right? Pressure to please, pressure to be accepted, pressure to sell, pressure to buy, pressure to, be liked or whatever, or not be disliked. Pressure to win, pressure to lose, to not lose. But when you are putting yourself in a neutral situation where there's nothing to push against, the ego has a very different response. And, this is why people go on weekend retreats or silent retreats. If you were to go spend 24 hours completely alone with no phone, no contact anywhere, you would have a very different internal experience. You might think that you're confident and you're independent and you don't mind being alone and you like your space. But if you were to isolate yourself for 24 hours, maybe in a city by yourself, a lot of people do this when they travel. But the first time I did this, I just freaked out. I mean, it's like we have cell phones and stuff now, but if you really put yourself in a situation where you're not in contact with someone, you're really on your own and you're in an unfamiliar environment, it's a whole different ballgame, you know? So, this is something important for you guys to, I think, to really have, an assessment with, to understand, and to get some experience with as well.
Right. I mean, it's the thing is we're always in a form of relationship, like you were saying with the having a phone, being able to find maps, and navigate, and the food that we eat, that's a relationship. The people that we pass, that's a relationship. The animals that we pass, how we live, as far as the impact that we have with the things that we purchase, the waste that we create, how that we how do we move in a moment to moment way. As we continue that, we create a continuation of our effect. And only when things start to stagnate, or that it's time to what's been marketed as up leveling your character or whatever, there's going to be these things that and people and circumstances that fall away from your life, because that's going to challenge the way that you were thinking. One of the things that I can think of in my early, entrepreneur days was, having this mentality of personal development where I had to be this machine and I had to do it all and I had to have it perfect, and but then I could network with people and it was all going to be smooth because all these things. And a lot of times the people that were wanting to help I didn't see because I I didn't think that they could help me at that time because they didn't have that one thing I was looking for, or whatever skill set, or whatever business that they were running. Maybe I needed flyers made or whatever. Um, and what I learned through that process is, your network is vital to your professional success. Your network of friends is vital for your personal and spiritual success. Having a relationship with nature helps us go beyond the human consciousness and the human condition to actually get to see who we are beyond the human conditions and societies that we've created.
Come
on. And to answer Kelly's questions here, no, I think it's perfectly normal, whatever normal is. I don't think there's right and wrong. On a general basis, we have to ask ourselves that as we're walking that path, because only that next step can we actually see where we're trying to walk to. And creating too much of the container, the masculine energy of what's right and what's wrong sometimes, in my previous experience, has led me down paths of learning rather than paths of actually being met with the expectations I was hoping for. If that makes sense, which is what I needed to have to be at this state, in this place, in this time, and in the reason that I'm where I am today. And that to be said for all of us. And I think when we can truly be grateful for the process of becoming who we will ultimately become, the more we can be in that vibration of gratitude, of acceptance, of learning to accept other people's actually to see what levels of truth are there, whether we want to admit them or not. They're coming up. They're a reflection in a mirror of someone else for a purpose. And how do we practice living in a vibrational state where we're not constantly being knocked away from our center because someone said something kind to us, nasty to us, because they're both just as distracting. As the Dalai Lama says a quote, and I love this quote: when somebody criticizes you, think about those who praise you, and when someone praises you, think about those who criticize you, because that's going to keep you humble. That's going to keep you balanced, and try as best you can walk the path that's right for you, in reflection to all the other mirrors that you walk by on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. I think, Kelly, we have to be careful of several things. We have to really be careful of, I hear a lot of people's questions, and when you ask questions, when I hear different questions, I can tell exactly where they're coming from. Are they coming from a very new age background? Are they coming from an ultra Christian background? Are they coming from a religiously brainwashed background? Are they coming from a neutral spiritual background? I mean, it's very interesting and easy to tell where people's questions are coming from and where they've been influenced. And, we've got to remember, words are just words. And it's our brain that interprets them. It's the meaning we give to them. There's people that say, oh my God, the Bible's a lie. And then there's people that live every day by the Bible. Well, the Bible isn't everything, but it does have truths in it. And what about the concept of the fact that, the living Bible? Most people don't realize what that actually means is the Bible was more of a prediction than it was a historical document. It was as actually predicting what we're going through right now. It actually predicts the internal and collective journey that we travel through, which is very different than what maybe even the most loyal, truly authentic religious priests and teachers in the Christian religion believe. So, we really have to broaden our perspective, take things with a grain of salt. Christ consciousness it's a consciousness. It's not a person, it's an energy. Jesus embodied the Christ consciousness. So does the Dalai Lama. So do a lot of awakened souls in this world, but we all have it. We all have this gift and opportunity to bring Christ consciousness through our physical form in each incarnation if we so choose to come and incarnate. So we have to think about the fact that 95% of our mind that I always mention, that holds everything you believe. You have recorded everything you've ever experienced and the meaning that you gave it. So whatever belief system you believed at the time that you experienced something, you gave meaning to it. And so that's, really important to keep in mind. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Chris, because I got to walk this horse in. Her mom is coming. She refuses to move. See? So I brought her mama out. I'm going to put you in my pocket for a minute.
All right. Yeah, I mean, and kind of balancing that, as Kelly's acknowledging, yeah, it's an energy. Well, energy always carries information. It's like electricity and everything else. And it's tapping into that curiosity that allows us to create from the old into the new. That helps us transmute challenging circumstances into the opportunities to grow individually as well as collectively, societally, relationally. I mean, it's all relationships. And, we couldn't be here without loving relationships. I mean, the humanity and, you can call it whatever you want. What's the right way to love somebody, and what's the wrong way to treat people, or the right way to treat people, or what's the idealized perfect relationship that everybody's striving to achieve. What's the all these different things. Like, you can create all this expectation, whether it's conscious or unconscious, into what we're currently experiencing, and that's going to allow you to witness your feelings and your emotions of where you're currently at vibrationally. And then this big movement of surrender, and just let them go, let it go, let your beliefs go, and those people in your life that are causing you challenge will shift. Because the challenge that you feel, the division, the reason you feel hurt, the reason you feel those things is because something in you. It's not that other person. That other person's bringing it out in you. Now, so if you can surrender the stories, and I share the stories a lot about my family and growing up as the black sheep, and the change maker, and trying to do all this stuff, and the alienation that and separation and the division that I felt growing up. In my later years, now that my grandparents have all passed, I realized that I divided myself from them because my own guilt, my own shame, my own things that I didn't want them to know about. And I was afraid to not be honest. That was something that was important to me my whole life, is to accept responsibility for my actions or my inactions. And so that really distanced me to some level from my grandparents, even though that they really loved me. They had their own judgments, they had their own things, whatever. So rather than feeling that, I chose to divide myself. I chose to alienate myself, and I chose not to have as close of relationships with them as I could have, because I wasn't walking their path. I wasn't following in their footsteps. I didn't want to do it the same way they did. I didn't know why. I just was doing it that way. And, of course, I had justifications and reasons and all that growing up, as we all do, as we're all maturing, because we're all in a state of evolution. And, that's why I love, speaking the elders, because they've been around the block a few times, and they have a dark sense of humor about them, because they understand that everything that happens to us actually happens for us, and it's how that we choose to use what we gain from those experiences that truly gain and grow us internally, as well as externally. Because if we want to apply these values, these principles, these things within our lives and reflect them outwardly, then the law of materialism or the law of attraction or whatever is going to bring that back. And it depends on how you choose to mentalize it and to observe it and to keep score to see whether or not you're in a season of taking or a season of giving. And that helps with balance. You know, I know the more that I can give, the more that I have the capability of receiving. However, when I don't have enough money or enough resources or enough food to share with people, I'm going to have to do more work so I can provide those resources. If I want to be the change that I want to see in the world, well, then I get to do that work. And when other people tell me it's stupid, that it's a waste of your time, why does it matter what you eat? Why do you refuse to purchase these things? Why do you choose not to and do these things or invest in these things or whatever? They can ask those questions. Those curiosities are good, because that's the soil of planting those awarenesses. They're asking you for your opinion of why you feel to want to be different than what everybody else is doing, to play to be this normal society member, and then sit around and wonder why our kids are so sick, wonder why our planet and our animals are becoming extinct. I just read that the white rhino is now officially extinct just the other day, and I haven't done the background research to prove that to be true or not, but just the fact that these are warning signs that we've fallen out of harmony with our nature. I mean, I don't know if Larkin has ever listened to Charles Eisenstein's stuff, but I've been listening to his stuff for a few years, and more recently, and I'm so grateful for people that have that platform, that are speaking up and posing these questions, so we can develop the hope that what people are labeling the Matrix is going to be different. It's just a different video game. It's played at a different level. There's different questions that are asked. There's different reasons for why we do what we do. And it goes beyond our own egoic wants, desires, or comforts. It's a part of it, because if you're completely miserable, you're not going to be at the vibration of bliss and joy and happiness and of abundance, of being able to give without thinking about what you're getting back. But when you can vibrate at those things, no matter the circumstance, that continued frequency always pays off. And we can look at human history to confirm that, or also deny that. That's the challenging thing about information itself. Is it's just information that gives direction towards a certain mindset or a certain thought pattern. Man, that is amazing, Kelly. I'm so grateful that you're finding acceptance and finding peace within yourself. It is an amazing feeling. It is absolutely an amazing feeling, and I'm grateful for. Most of us have these experiences, right? But society a lot of times teaches us to look at the things that we don't want, to try to improve them, versus look at what was actually going really well in our lives, and then just modeling that. Because um, that in itself is what will bring you continued success. If you look at success, you'll attract success. If you're looking at where things aren't working out, you're going to find opportunities for solutions that are going to help towards that success. But actually being success minded, looking beyond the veil of where you are currently right now with hope and enthusiasm and passion will help you energetically, mentally, emotionally, and physically, financially, manifest the life that you want to be living. And the more you can practice gratitude, the greater the things are, because you have to be grateful for what you've had. You have to be grateful for what you have before you can be grateful for what you've yet to receive. Larkin? This is so fun. So, I mean, thank you, Kelly, for all your comments and the conversation. Really love the engagement. It's really helpful for us, because it seems like there's so much to talk about within the realm of consciousness. There's always things to say, but having questions helps us bring them in, and helps guide a conversation, right? And we've all practiced this in our social lives. The more questions we ask, the more we learn. Um, the more we speak, the more we repeat the things that we've already known. So these podcasts are always fun and challenging at the same time, because I'm not here to prove anything, but hopefully to share insights and awarenesses and inspiration, to look at life differently, so you can get different results in your life, whether you not change things or not. That's the goal of walking in our true nature is, we all have this lifetime that we get one time, but we're also higher consciousness than that. So whatever spark that comes, that gives birth to this meat suit, lives on beyond this thing, and it's carried on by how I use it within this life. And the same thing for you and everybody else. Our lives are energy, they're fluid, and the thing that keeps us stuck and confined is believing this is the way that I am. I'm being authentic. I'm being my true me. I'm being this, and in a lot of ways that's absolutely true. But my question would be then, is that way working completely for you? Are you completely whole? Are you completely happy? Are you completely blissed out without anything in your life going on? Can you be in those states? And if the answer is no, well, then you haven't found it yet. I'm not there yet. I don't pretend to be. I don't want to give false hope. I have challenges every day, and I can learn to smile at them, and I can get through them. And thank goodness for the challenges in my life that have taught me how to overcome myself, my belief system, limited belief system, my fears and insecurities. Thank goodness I've learned patience and understanding and perseverance and resiliency. And I have these experiences in my own life that I've gotten to see that and witness that and experience that. And so I don't have to take someone else's word for it. I'm living proof of it for myself. And I hope that can be seen in your lives as well, because then we can quit arguing about who said what better, and start saying, how can we be here with each other, open minded, open hearted, open armed, and walk together to create the heaven on earth that we all want to see happen, not only for ourselves, but for our families and our future generations.
Yeah.
I like them.
Wow, Chris. No, it's true. It's really, really powerful. And the horses won, guys. They wanted to stay out. So that's fine. I got my pocket pet that came in. I'll show you guys. Everybody else stayed out. The thing is that, we need to be working cohesively. And we talk so much about working cohesively with humans, getting humans to get along, having humans to, you know, uh, care for each other and work together. But the next phase of that is nature, is all of life. It's not just humans. And this is the thing. This is the thing that, when the Europeans came over and they brought to the Native Americans here, was really, really damaging, because, we have to, if you guys want to have a health, I want to throw this out before we end things today. If and I got to see if this charges, because my phone's almost gone here. I think people have to understand. My coaching clients, they all come and they want more money. They want a relationship. They want to switch jobs. They want the new car. They want the vacation. But my question to you is, how are you going to have that if you're not taking care of and respecting the basics that you have? Right? If you don't have clean water, if you don't have a good rapport with your neighbor, if you don't have a good sense of self or taking care of yourself, if you don't know how to sit calmly for 15 minutes, these aren't things that we're taught, that we associate with manifesting the things that we want. So we're brainwashed by a consumer society, and there's this unrealistic idea that we can just manifest and get, receive all this stuff without being, you were talking about balance, Chris, without any sort of balance. And, we need to be having an education system that shares with young children the need for cooperation, the need for community, the need for thinking that way. Most cultures in the world, all cultures that ever survived and thrived, functioned as a cooperative community, not just with other humans, but with other life. And, yes, we rewrite history a lot, but we just don't seem to, we have to keep relearning this lesson, because it's individual and collective. And so I think for me at least, one of my biggest takeaways of today's program, Chris, is, whatever you believe, that's okay. But incorporate with your belief system. Ask yourself, is your belief system one that can, you want to thrive, but is it, are you functioning in a way that supports everyone's survival first, not just yours? Because if you're living in a way that you think is for your survival, but no one else's, or you don't care about anyone else's, I guarantee you that isn't survival for you either, and you're not going to thrive. We thrive individually when everybody has what they need, and everybody has to go from meaning just the people and the people that you like and the people that share your beliefs to everyone. That includes, is there a place for the grass and the trees? Is there a place for the insects? I mean, I think a lot of people, some people get attracted to this, Chris, and some people, as soon as you start talking about the nature stuff, they sort of get turned off by it.
Mm-hmm.
But why? Your nature. I mean, as I tell everybody, I love the show Naked and Afraid. I think I've told you that, Chris. I love that show. And I love that show only because usually the people get on there, they make a fool of themselves. See them, they're getting paid to make these mistakes in front of people.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of outdoor survival, and I would not go on that show for anything. It's harder than people think, and I hear people watch that show, and I hear them mock the participants, make fun of them, and I guarantee you, if any of you were dropped out in the middle of anywhere naked with one choice of tools, you'd pick the wrong tool, first of all. And second of all, within 24 hours, I don't care if you're man, woman, whatever, you'd be crying and begging to get home. It is not what you think. And so if everybody had that experience, even fully clothed, dropped in the middle of nowhere for 24 hours, you would come home more appreciative, with a greater understanding of how truly spoiled and blessed you are. And yet, when I get on my readings today at 4:00, everyone is stressed. They're miserable. They're depressed. They don't know what to do. And I'm not mocking that, but we need to put things in perspective. It's over, when will I get my new apartment? I'm so miserable in the one I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
When will the guy call me back? When will I make more money? We really need to put our reality in check. And then we need to, if you guys, I think Chris and I should do some sort of a fun challenge, like a nature challenge or something. And if you guys just spend 3 days a week taking a 30-minute walk in nature, just try it. No music, no headphones, no talking. Better yet, do it alone. If you can walk with someone you can be silent with, that's great. But most people can't. Take your dog if you want, but be quiet. And you may get back from that walk. You may do it 3 times and come back and say, what the hell, Lark? I didn't feel a thing. Then keep doing it, because you know what? Eventually, you're going to. And I'm watching a hawk sit on the fence right here, go after the birds down there. Wild nature time today here, guys. And for me, that is confirmation. When a hawk shows up close to me in an unusual fashion, I've never seen that. But your innards, your internal self will start to shift. Your nervous system will calm down. Your mind will slow down. Your stress and anxiety will start to ease up. Give yourself that opportunity, because, guys, nature is the great teacher and it is the great healer. And I do not expect, nor do I want you to believe me. I don't want you to take anybody's word for anything, not even your own. But I would like to encourage everyone to create a greater sense of internal knowing that cannot really be verbally shared or proven to anyone. And that is priceless. And that's one of the things that communing with nature, walking with nature, truly gives you. Go ahead, Chris. I'm just sitting here in the silent peace of this beautiful farm with
I was going to say, I'm just listening to crickets. I don't know if it's at your place or mine, because I got my window open.
I have one pop up right next to me. That's great.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
They are great healers as well. Trees. They have lots of wisdom to share. Even when we can't sense it, just keep doing it, and eventually it happens, right? And I think that's the nature of anything that we do, right? Like, I don't know anybody that's really been proficient at anything in life without practicing it, and it's like, you're not going to learn Um, thanks, Kelly. You're not going to learn, to be a great sports star or a great skilled hunter or uh, a great skilled communicator or, skilled anything unless you keep practicing at it and going through the adversity of it, going through and gaining new perspectives, gaining new awarenesses, gaining new experiences, because that's just going to help you in ways that your mind's not going to be, the knowledge that isn't going to be able to point at it, um, because that's coming from imagination. It's able to look back at it and go, wow, I'm so grateful for these experiences that I had, good, bad, and different. When you get past the label of it, it was meant for us to experience and learn from and carry with us in a sacred and an honorable way, with respect and really understanding that the constructs that we make within our humanity, our man-made stuff like the economy and all the politics and all that kind of stuff, those are designed to help perpetuate the division of us versus them. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm saying it just is what it is. We're all a part of it. It's just, what part are we playing? Are we selling Are we selling what's important to us, our morality, our ethics, for a paycheck? And sometimes that maybe we come into a season where that's necessary. We have a high morality for family, but we don't get to spend as much time with our family because we're providing um, financial resources for that family, to keep shelter and food and clothes and the things that we need, and that's honorable, and that, in my view, is the right thing to do, and why I chose to walk the path that I did was to help folks like that overcome um, the challenges that were happening within their past lives or their current life, to get them into a new reality. And we do that through coaching. We do that through energy work and ceremonies and stuff like that now, because that was what I wanted for me. I wanted to be able to go through the challenges of life with a smile on my face and go, I don't know why I'm so happy, but I am, and I'm grateful for this moment, and really be able to be in that. And I've been very blessed to have a lot of challenges where I've met that expectation, and a lot of experiences where I didn't meet that expectation. And that's been one of the greatest teachers that I've had. And it's lovely to learn from all these other beautiful souls that we've shared this planet with. But we have to own our stuff. We have to own our life. We can't control anything or anyone other than ourselves. And I'm just going to share this with you. Kelly shared. I think I just did that right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's wonderful. That's when you're your own guru. And we've talked a lot about radical responsibility. And that's the only way you can be radically responsible is for yourself, and saying, well, this is what I thought was best at the time. I've learned different from then. I've experienced different from then. And now, because of that, I'm a different person. And that is that part of that let go, that surrender thing, that like the snakes behind me, it's important to shed the things that no longer serve you. And a lot of times that's those failures and those challenges that we have experienced that aren't useful for us anymore, because we're transcending that into a new reality. Hey, Larkin, welcome back. Larkin? Okay. Well, I don't know if she's going to come back on, so we're just going to go ahead and wrap the show up today. Thanks again for tuning in to the show. This is the Enhance Your World show with Larkin and Chris. We're on every Tuesday around 12 o'clock. And we just like to share from our hearts and things that are coming up for us, to share inspiration, so we can be more hopeful about how we're walking towards our collective futures. Much love and gratitude for everything that you are, everything you do, and everything that you choose to be, because this world is the way it is, because we're all a part of it. So thank you so much. Much love and gratitude, and see you next week.